You think a security badge is just a piece of plastic? At my company, one slice from a tactical knife on that badge brought 15 years of federal certification crashing down. The CEO thought his son was the future. The kid thought he owned the new world. Only I knew the system was waiting for one wrong move to execute them both. My name's Wesley Rodriguez. I'm 49 years old, and I'm the Senior Compliance Director at Redstone Defense Technologies. Look, I've been in this game long enough to know when someone's about to step on a landmine. After 10 years in Navy intelligence and 13 years in defense contracting, you develop a sixth sense for disaster. Our office sits in San Antonio, Texas, where the West Side Industrial District meets the high-stakes world of military contracts. This is where old-school discipline meets corporate politics. And honestly, most days it feels like I'm the only one who remembers what discipline actually means. I'm not superstitious, but I am methodical. Old Navy habits die hard. My truck pulls into parking space B7 at exactly 7 to 45 every morning. Not 7 to 44, not 7 to 46. By 7:52, I've badged through 3 separate security doors, and I'm standing in the break room waiting for that ancient coffee machine to finish its job. Black coffee, no additives. In the compliance world, you learn to appreciate things exactly as they are. Before I even sit down, I'm at my terminal checking what I call the dashboard, our federal compliance board. It's my morning ritual, like inspection in the old days. A grid of indicators lights up my screen, and I look for one thing. All green. For 13 years, every piece of Redstone's federal security has been tied to my digital signature, my credentials, my whole identity in the system. Here's the thing. It's not just my signature. It's the company's lifeline. It's the master key that lets Redstone bid on those $200 million contracts that keep us ahead of our competitors. Our competitors dream about these deals. Our CEO, Richard Harrington, dreams about the stock prices they generate. Me? I have nightmares about the catastrophic failure that's waiting if someone makes one wrong move. I'm basically the guardian of our promise to Uncle Sam, a promise that we handle sensitive information according to regulations thicker than a submarine manual. And trust me, I've read every page. My office isn't really an office. It's part of what the engineers call the secure wing. No windows, just the steady hum of climate control and backup power systems. This is the company's nerve center where we keep the audit servers, the physical log safes, and encrypted backup archives. The sales team with their bright ties never comes here. HR avoids it completely. They treat it like the engine room, which is fine by me. I walk the aisles between server racks, watching those blue and green status lights blink like a Christmas tree. I check seals on fireproof safes. Monitor the bank of screens showing system status. All green, all stable. The primary modules read like a checklist. Custody ledger verified by W. Rodriguez. Data sync verified by W. Rodriguez. Incident archive verified by W. Rodriguez. My name is the lock that keeps everything secure. Around 9:00, the day shift settles in and the requests start coming. Not from executives, from people who actually build the systems we sell. Amanda Foster, a project manager who always looks like she pulled an all-nighter, shows up at my door. Smart woman, but she knows better than to step into the secure area without clearance. Wesley, hey, got a second? She asks, clutching her laptop. What have you got, Amanda? Just a quick email going to the Naval Yard status update, but it mentions the new firmware build. Can you just take a look? See, Amanda knows what I know. Status update and firmware build are trigger words for federal auditors. I take her laptop, scan the draft, and spot the 2 sentences that are technically accurate but legally dangerous. Takes me 30 seconds to rewrite them with the precise approved terminology from our last audit report. There, I say, handing it back. That's what you actually mean to say. Her shoulders drop with relief. Man, Wesley, you're a lifesaver. Coffee's on me tomorrow. Just file the draft. An hour later, Cameron Wright from IT Security pings me. Got a weird flag in the access log. Port scan from an internal IP I don't recognize. Looks like someone tried to query the archive server. Before I lock it down, can you confirm this isn't one of your audit scripts? I check my automated tasks. Nope. Cameron, lock it down and send me the incident log. I need it for the weekly report. Copy that. Thanks. This is my world. Precise actions, verified steps, mutual respect built on competence. Amanda and Cameron don't respect me because I'm a director. They respect me because when the auditors show up, I'm the guy standing between them and a career-ending mistake. But lately, the air in the rest of the building has started feeling different. There's this tension building, like the calm before a storm. A new initiative from HR and the executive floor called strategic innovation. More all-hands meetings run by consultants throwing around phrases like breaking down silos and digital-first mindset. Those words make my blood pressure spike. In my experience, breaking silos usually means destroying security barriers. Digital first sounds like forgetting that our most sensitive data must, by federal law, be stored offline and signed by an actual human being. I sit in the back of these meetings watching slide decks full of corporate poetry, and I can practically smell the risk radiating from every buzzword. It's like watching someone play with live ammunition while insisting it's perfectly safe. The feeling gets worse today. Walking from the secure wing to refill my coffee, always at 10:30. I pass the main bulletin board. There's a new poster, glossy and professional, sticking out like a sore thumb against the usual safety notices and benefits updates. Reimagining operations with next-generation leadership, it announces. Below that, there's a photo that makes my stomach drop. Our CEO, Richard Harrington, wearing his usual executive smile, standing next to him, hand on his shoulder, is a young man I've never seen before. He's wearing what I'd call aggressive casual, designer blazer, dark jeans, and sneakers that probably cost more than my monthly truck payment. His haircut screams, "I have a personal stylist." And his whole vibe says, "I'm here to disrupt everything you old-timers think you know." The name printed below confirms my worst fears. Brandon Harrington, VP of Strategic Innovation, the CEO's son, home from his latest adventure. Word around the office is he burned through $25 million in venture capital on some biotech startup in Austin before it folded. Now daddy's found him a soft landing at good old Redstone. VP of Strategic Innovation. A title that means everything and nothing, created specifically to give the boss's kid somewhere to land. And from that look in his eyes, he's not planning to sit quietly in the corner. The mandatory town hall gets called for that Thursday. Reimagining operations with next-generation leadership. They call it. I call it what it really is. A public execution disguised as a pep rally. The main conference room is packed tighter than a submarine, thick with nervous energy and burnt coffee. I stake out my usual position in the back corner against the wall. Old habits, always know your exits. Always have a clear view of the room. From here, I can watch everyone's reactions, see who's buying what they're selling. Brandon Harrington doesn't walk to the podium. He owns the space before he even gets there. He's wearing that designer blazer over dark jeans and those ridiculously expensive sneakers. Moves like he's giving a TED Talk, all practiced confidence and rehearsed gestures. "Thank you," he says, quieting the polite applause. "It's incredible to be here, to be home, to help my father bring Redstone Defense into the next phase of evolution." Behind him, the wall screen lights up with his slide deck. All high-resolution stock photos and aggressive fonts that probably cost more than most people's monthly salary. First slide just says Operation Phoenix over some stylized bird rising from flames. I'm already getting that familiar feeling like watching a lieutenant fresh out of Annapolis explain tactics to a master chief. For too long, he continues, pacing back and forth like he's working a stage. Redstone has been doing incredible work, but we've been doing it with one hand tied behind our back. We've been weighed down by legacy thinking, by friction, by processes built for a world that no longer exists. He clicks his remote. Next slide pops up. Kill the paper dinosaur with a cartoon T-Rex getting crushed by a meteor labeled data. Real subtle. "We're moving to an agile digital-first framework," he says, voice smooth as a recruiting commercial. "We're going to break silos. We're going to innovate at the speed of thought. We're going to disrupt the old ways." The junior managers in front are nodding like dashboard bobbleheads. These are the same people who couldn't find their own desks without GPS, but they're eating up every buzzword like it's gospel. He pauses, scanning the room with those bright, ambitious eyes. They sweep across the executives up front, the managers in the middle, and land right on me in the back. I'm not looking at his presentation. I'm looking down at a printout of new federal data residency policies, marking it up with a red pen. Old school paper and ink. "Legacy roles," he says, dropping his voice for dramatic effect. "Will need to evolve or they will need to vanish." His gaze stays on me just a beat too long. It's calculated, a public shot across the bow. The message couldn't be clearer if he'd used a bullhorn. The paper dinosaur with the red pen is marked for extinction. A few people actually nod enthusiastically, mostly the marketing kids who think disruption is a virtue instead of what happens right before everything goes to hell. Amanda and Cameron, sitting 3 rows ahead of me, suddenly develop intense interest in the carpet patterns. I don't feel fear. Honestly, I'm more amused than anything, because as he launches into this word salad about synergizing our data lineage and optimizing our compliance stack, I notice he mispronounces CMMC framework. He says it's CMMC, spelling it out letter by letter like he's reading from cards instead of SIM, like anyone who's actually worked with federal compliance would say. It's a tiny mistake. Maybe 3 people in this room would catch it, but it tells me everything I need to know. He's memorized the buzzwords without understanding the substance. He's read the executive summary, but skipped the actual manual. When his presentation finally ends, there's that awkward applause you get when people aren't sure what they just watched. Richard Harrington jumps up and claps the loudest, beaming with fatherly pride, like his little boy just won the science fair. As the room breaks up, Brandon works the crowd like a politician at a rally, shaking hands and dropping more buzzwords. He's moving in my direction, cutting off my exit route. Classic maneuver. That was quite a presentation. I say when he reaches me, my voice comes out flat. Matter of fact. Thanks. Just trying to shake things up a little. He replies, running a hand through that expensive haircut. You're Wesley Rodriguez, right? The custodian. He says it like he's describing some medieval job title. Senior Compliance Director and Federal Systems Architect. I correct. They're distinct functions. Right? Right? Look, I've been reviewing your department's metrics. Lot of manual processes. Lot of paper. He gestures at the documents still in my hand like they're artifacts from a museum. I'm all about automation. I want to streamline this entire wing. We can't be agile if we're dragging dead weight. He leans in, voice dropping to what he probably thinks is a conspiratorial whisper. Do we really need a single dedicated person as custodian in 2025? It seems like a bottleneck, a single point of failure. There it is. He's not asking a question, he's announcing a decision he's already made. He wants to replace a federally mandated human checkpoint with some software he read about in a business magazine. I look him straight in the eye. The F's need a person, Brandon, not a slide deck, not an algorithm. They need someone who takes the oath, whose name goes on the paperwork, who goes to federal prison if the data walks out the door. The whole system is built on human accountability. Your software can't take that kind of heat. His practiced smile tightens like someone just pulled a wire. The easy confidence flickers, and for a second, I see what's underneath. Cold, sharp annoyance. This is someone who's not used to being told no, especially not by some old-timer who doesn't appreciate his vision. Well, he says, voice suddenly brisk and businesslike, that's exactly the kind of legacy thinking I'm talking about. We'll have to agree to disagree for now. He spins on those expensive heels and stalks back toward his father, leaving a trail of designer cologne in his wake. I head back to the secure wing. The steady hum of servers is like coming home after a firefight, familiar, comforting, predictable. I settle at my terminal and check the dashboard. Green lights across the board, all stable. Verified by W. Rodriguez, still showing on every critical module. But an hour later, a new email pops into my inbox from Brandon Harrington. Subject line, mandatory review of obsolete controls. It's a meeting invitation for 8/7 tomorrow morning. My name is the only one on the required attendee list. Short agenda, but the single line item is flagged in bright red. Review and reassessment of federal custodian role. He's moving faster than I expected. Most people would spend weeks building consensus, getting buy-in from other departments, but he's going straight for the throat. I'm about to close the email when that old sailor's instinct kicks in. The feeling that says, check your 6. Something's not right. I open my admin console and pull up the provisioning logs, the ones that show when new user credentials get created, and there it is. Timestamp from 8:15 this morning, right before his dog and pony show. New user credential, B. Harrington was granted view-only access to our staging environment. Not the live federal systems, but the sandbox where we test new code before pushing it to the real deal. Here's the problem. That staging environment contains live data samples, highly sensitive stuff, and to get any kind of access, even just to look around, federal regulations require completing a 4-hour mandatory training course on data handling and legal liabilities, a course that I personally have to administer and certify. I check the training database. Brandon Harrington's name isn't anywhere on the list. Daddy gave his little boy the keys to the kingdom, and he hasn't even learned which way the doors open. He's not just a risk anymore. He's an active, unauthorized security incident, and after 13 years of dealing with these situations, I know exactly what to do with incidents like this. That night, I don't sleep much. Occupational hazard when you're paid to anticipate disaster. At 1:30 a.m., my phone gives a single buzz on the nightstand. Not a call or text, but a high-priority alert from a monitoring script I wrote years ago. An alert I've never seen trigger before. I get out of bed and fire up my home computer, log into my private admin console, a backdoor only I have keys to. The system's flagging repeated failed authentication attempts against our vendor risk portal. Sophisticated stuff, cycling through different credential combinations, probing for weaknesses. Then, at 1:47 a.m., the attempts stop. New log entry appears. A temporary admin account linked to the executive sandbox just gained access to live systems. I trace the IP address. Routes directly to the newly configured executive wing. Brandon's office. He's not just window shopping in the staging area anymore. He's picking locks on the real deal. I take screenshots, export the raw data with timestamps and IP addresses, save everything to an encrypted drive I keep in my home safe in a folder labeled B. Harrington Security Incident. Old Navy habit, document everything. Assume you'll need it later. The meeting at 8 Falls feels different now. I'm not walking in to defend my job. I'm conducting an interview with a suspect. Brandon's already set up in the glass-walled conference room with a spread of pastries and premium coffee. All smiles and corporate energy. Wesley, glad you could make it. Help yourself to a croissant. I'm good. What's this about, Brandon? He hits his remote and the wall display lights up with charts he clearly doesn't understand. Title slide reads, De-risking Redstone, identifying single points of failure. This is about the future, he says, starting that practiced pacing routine. I've been doing a deep dive on our risk vectors and I found something significant. Our entire federal compliance architecture hinges on you. He clicks to the next slide, an org chart with my title circled in red like a target. In modern tech, we call this a single point of failure. One person. If you get sick, quit, or get hit by a bus, the whole system collapses. We're exposed. It's an obsolete control structure. I let the silence hang for a moment, then lean back in my chair. You're using the wrong terminology, Brandon. The Pentagon doesn't call a certified custodian a single point of failure. That's startup talk. In their world, the world we actually operate in, the custodian is what's called a single anchor point. His confident expression starts to crack. That's just semantics, Wesley. No, it's doctrine. A failure point is a bug waiting to happen. An anchor point is intentional design. It's the known, verified, legally accountable human who signs the paperwork and takes the heat when auditors come knocking at 3 a.m. because a log entry looks funny. I stand up, walk to the window. You're proposing we cut the ship's anchor because it's heavy, without realizing it's the only thing keeping us from drifting into the rocks. His face goes dark. The polished charm evaporates like morning mist. That's exactly the kind of legacy thinking that's holding us back. We can build better automated systems. Systems that don't rely on one person's badge. He leans forward, trying to use his presence to intimidate me. Cute. I've been intimidated by people who carried actual weapons. If your system is so fragile it would collapse just because of one employee badge, he says, voice getting sharp. Maybe the problem isn't with me. Maybe the problem is with your system. There it is, the moment of truth. He's not just talking theory anymore. He's telegraphing his next move. I look him straight in the eye. You won't like the system's answer, Brandon. He scoffs. An ugly sound. Is that a threat? It's a log entry. Systems respond with data. You should know that by now. I head for the door. If you're done with your presentation, I've got actual incident reports to review. He's left speechless, mouth hanging open. Probably the first time in his life someone's walked out on his pitch meeting. Back in the secure wing, I fire off a formal memo to Jordan Phillips, our general counsel. Subject line, formal notification of unauthorized credential escalation risk and impediment of mandated succession protocol. I lay out the facts using Jordan's language. Cite specific federal regs. Reference the required 90-day succession buffer. State that Senior Executive Brandon Harrington has voiced clear intent to interfere with mandated controls. Attach the logs from 1 to 47 a.m. showing unauthorized access to restricted systems. File it in the official compliance repository. System automatically timestamps it and sends high-priority notification to Jordan's inbox. Read receipt comes back 5 minutes later. He's seen it. An hour later, company-wide email hits everyone's inbox from Richard Harrington himself. Subject: Driving the Future, announcing Operation Phoenix. Pure corporate fluff, praising his son to the skies. In just a few short days, Brandon has begun vital work streamlining our operations. I read it. Look at Jordan's read receipt. Look at the evidence locked in my safe. They've got the warning. They've got the proof. And they're choosing to ignore both in favor of a press release. I close Richard's email and open a file directory I built 13 years ago when I first designed this architecture. Single document labeled Protocol AGS-19B. It's not a bomb. It's not sabotage. It's what we used to call a dead man's switch back in my Navy intelligence days. See, in high-risk military systems, a dead man's switch is a safety feature. Has to be actively held by a conscious operator. If the operator's hand comes off the switch, if they're taken out, compromised, or forcibly removed, the system doesn't keep running blindly into disaster. It executes a safe, controlled shutdown. My protocol is woven into the DNA of our federal compliance system, tied to my credentials, my digital signature, the physical token in my employee badge. If my custodian role ever gets revoked without initiating the proper 90-day succession protocol first, AGS-19B kicks in automatically. Won't delete files, won't corrupt data, will do exactly what federal law requires when there's a break in the custody chain. It'll immediately cut our connection to Dudo systems and flag our certification as compromised. They think I'm the single point of failure. They're about to learn I'm the only thing holding the on switch. 2 days later, the invitation arrives. Operational Evolution Summit. Mandatory for all operations and compliance leads. I know what this really is. Brandon's planned his grand finale, and he needs an audience for the execution. The meeting's in what we call the fishbowl, largest glass-walled conference room in the building. Rooms packed wall to wall. Brandon's up front in his uniform, designer blazer, rolled sleeves, that ridiculous watch that probably costs more than most people's cars. We must be faster, he says, chopping the air with his hand. We need agility. We can't be chained to the past. We must stop trusting only people and start trusting our systems. He wraps up his slide deck and opens the floor for discussion on new policies that got sent out exactly 1 hour ago. My hand goes up, his smile could cut glass. Wesley, our custodian, do you have a thought? Just a clarification, I say, voice cutting through the nervous shuffling. Section 4, Subsection B, Data Retention. This proposes changing our mandatory log retention from 12 months to 60 days. Brandon waves his hand like he's swatting a fly. That's right. Cutting the fat, streamlining operations. 60 days is plenty in a modern cloud environment. This isn't about modern, Brandon. Federal Acquisition Regulation Supplement 703, Subsection D. All access logs related to DuoD contracts must be retained minimum 1 full fiscal year post-contract closure. Our 12-month policy is already bare minimum legal compliance. 60 days is flagrant violation. Dead silence. Even the air conditioning seems to hold its breath. You're not writing policy, I continue. You're drafting the violation report that'll shut us down. His face goes nuclear. The polished performer disappears, replaced by pure, spoiled rage. You are the bottleneck, he shouts, pointing at me like I'm on trial. You are the no in this room. You are everything that's wrong with legacy thinking. He starts walking toward me, slow and deliberate, every step calculated for maximum drama. You and your paper and your regulations in this. He's standing right over me now. Before I can even process what's happening, his hand shoots out, grabs the nylon lanyard around my neck and yanks hard. The strap bites deep, jerking me forward against the safety clasp. Room gasps, like someone sucked all the oxygen out. The breakaway clasp does its job, snaps open with a sharp click. Lanyard's in his hand, my ID badge swinging from the end like a pendulum. He holds it up high, triumphant. This is the problem, he shouts. This piece of plastic, this physical credentialing, this single point of failure. He spins toward the supply station, comes up with something that makes my blood run cold. Not scissors. A tactical knife, Expensive black handle, razor-sharp blade, the kind of thing a rich kid buys to feel dangerous. We are not dependent on a single badge anymore. He brings the knife up to the nylon strap. The slice sounds small, just metal cutting through fabric. But in that dead silence, it echoes like a gunshot. He cuts the lanyard clean through, lets the pieces fall. My badge hits the polished table with a sharp clatter, drops the knife next to it, stands there, chest puffed out like a conquering hero. Instead of breaking down, I look at him calmly, let the silence stretch just long enough for everyone to burn this image into their memory. Then I stand up slowly, pick up the cut lanyard and my badge, place them carefully on top of my closed laptop. You just told the system that the custodian of record has been removed outside of proper procedure. Turn my back on him and walk out. Don't run. Don't hurry. Just walk to the elevator like I'm heading out for lunch. The moment those elevator doors close, I know what I've left behind. A room full of people who just watched someone commit corporate suicide. My phone starts buzzing before I reach the lobby. By the time I reach my truck, the internal messaging system is going berserk. What's happening? Is the system down? Portal's gone dark. One message cuts through the noise from Cameron in IT security. Wesley, where are you? Main dashboard just went from green to yellow to orange. Now the whole custody ledger is flashing red. Status says unassigned at Wesley. What does unassigned mean? I open my terminal app and run a status query. Checking module. Handshake failure. Reason code 801.4. Named custodian revoked. Attempting reauthentication. Failed. Federated link severed. System lockout initiated. There it is. My system doesn't understand corporate politics or expensive knives. It only knows binary logic. The authenticated custodian whose signature validates everything just got forcibly removed without proper succession protocol. Protocol AGS-19B has executed exactly as designed. 5 minutes later, my work email pings. Sender, norpley@fed.auditregistry.gov. Subject line in all caps. Status, certification, Ivana-dated. This is automated notification. Federated handshake with Redstone Defense Technologies vendor ID 77B9X was terminated at 10:32 a.m. CST. Reason: named custodian chain broken without mandated 90-day succession buffer. All system access suspended pending manual review. 13 years of federal certification gone, invalidated in the time it took me to walk from that conference room to my truck. All those $200 million contracts Brandon was so eager to modernize, they just evaporated. Text from our CEO's assistant, Brittany. Wesley, please call. Emergency. Richard needs to speak with you immediately. The feds are calling. Everything's locked out. I don't call back. I drive to a coffee shop and buy a large black coffee. This one tastes like victory. 3 hours later, my personal phone rings. Richard Harrington himself. I let it go to voicemail. Wesley, this is Richard. Look, we need to talk. There's been a misunderstanding. We need your help. The federal systems are locked out. Everything's frozen. 20 minutes later, email from Jordan Phillips. Urgent external consultant engagement request. I compose my response. To be clear, I'm not an employee of Redstone Defense Technologies. My employment was terminated this morning. If you wish to retain my expertise as an external compliance architect, my rate is $1,000 per hour, portal to portal. I require a 20-hour minimum retainer payable in advance. I require full professional and legal indemnity for all actions taken retroactive to 10:30 a.m. today. These terms are non-negotiable. At 11:47 p.m., Jordan's reply arrives. All terms accepted. Retainer wired. Indemnity attached with CEO signature. When can you be on site? I type back, 8 a.m. As external architect, one final requirement, I want all junior and mid-level staff protected from any fallout. I'm not just saving the system, I'm saving my people. Next morning, I walk into the lobby like I own the place, which functionally I now do. They've set up a war room in the main conference room, emergency console, direct connection to our core systems. Every executive looking like they haven't slept. When I walk in, conversation stops dead. Richard Harrington looks smaller somehow. Defeated. Wesley, thank God. We need you to understand what happened. I interrupt, spreading my system diagram across the table. This is protocol AGS-9DB, the dead man's switch I built into the federal compliance architecture 13 years ago. When the named custodian gets removed without proper succession protocol, the system doesn't see modernization or agility. It sees a security breach. It does exactly what federal law requires, cuts the connection to protect classified data from a compromised vendor. Brandon's in the corner, silent, looking like he'd rather be anywhere else. His expensive blazer looks wrinkled, his confidence completely deflated. Your son didn't just cut my badge, I continue looking directly at Richard. He cut the power cord to your entire federal business. The system worked exactly as designed. I lean back in my chair. Now, if you want that power cord reconnected, we're gonna do this my way. No shortcuts, no modernization, no digital first, anything. We're going back to basics, following every regulation to the letter, and rebuilding your credibility one careful step at a time. Richard nods frantically. Whatever you need, whatever it takes. Good, because this is going to take months, not hours, and every step goes through me. I look around the room at their desperate faces. Oh, and Brandon, your modernization project is canceled permanently. Consider it a learning experience. For the first time in 24 hours, everything feels exactly the way it should. The old sailor has the high ground and everyone else is asking for permission to advance, just like it should be. Sometimes the only way to teach respect for experience is to let them feel the full weight of their inexperience crashing down around them. In the end, it wasn't about revenge. It was about showing a spoiled kid that some systems can't be disrupted, only destroyed by those foolish enough to cut the wrong wire.